Welcome to AllView 360, All Things Real Estate Podcast, with your hosts, Daniel Gutierrez and Shannon Dempsey. We explore real estate from every angle, giving you insights, tools, and confidence to make smart decisions that support your future. It's time for a new perspective on property. Welcome to AllView 360. Hello, Daniel.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a hectic week, as you know, moving offices in Newport Beach for our headquarters, but it's been an awesome week.
I've never seen you this flustered with your surroundings.
Well, that's the issue, is our surroundings are a total mess. So we moved into a much larger office, kind of better fits our needs and our growth. But with that, everything's everywhere. The environment is beautiful, but a complete disaster, and is definitely making the day-to-day work a bit more difficult. It's like not, it feels like I'm not at peace. Like there's no zen or feng shui with our office right now. It's a mess.
I know the amount of times you brought up trash as an actual company issue in the leadership meeting. Is the trash gone?
The majority of the trash is gone. I mean, it was like an obstacle course in here. There was trash boxes, like there was so much stuff everywhere.
I talked to a couple other people and I'm like, how's it going? And everyone would be like, oh, there's a lot of trash everywhere. And I just pictured like, I'll just come visit in a month or so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Once it's all
not
done.
Anytime soon. Okay. Well, I appreciate you locking this in during your time of turmoil.
Always.
Always. What are we going to talk about today?
So today we're talking about 5 big laws that are affecting the real estate industry, affecting brokerage, affecting insurance, affecting property management, affecting investing, affecting really the entire industry.
Yes. And we picked 5, but there's many. But these are kind of the broader 5 that are almost, having immediate impacts on things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to just kick it off with number 1?
So number 1 is AllView. But it's digitally altered real estate images and the disclosure, something that I'm sure a lot of people don't even realize is a law, but it's an important one because it's been both helping and hurting a lot of people for a while with essentially fake images, especially now with how easy it is to make fake images.
Yes. So, and then the new actual law was in Bill 723. The law says if any real estate agent, broker, or someone acting on their behalf uses digitally altered images that materially changes how the property appears, that alteration has to be disclosed.
Mm-hmm.
This has been something that they've done different variations of this over the years. And when I think virtual staging or digitally altered photos, I think of them placing furniture in the room, right? You guys do that a lot on the marketing for the rentals.
Yeah.
Agents will do that a lot when their listings are vacant and they don't want to pony up to stage it, or the seller doesn't want to stage it. But as I thought deeper into this is more probably geared towards the people that Photoshop out power lines or Photoshop in a nice lush green lawn when that's not actually happening. And it's a weed field.
It's way beyond that too. Like you could digitally remodel an entire home and present it as if it were looking like that.
That too.
So it goes way beyond that. And we've had clients over the years who are like, oh, just Photoshop that out or do this or do that. And, sometimes it's okay. We disclose it, but we say, hey, we're going to Photoshop this out because we're doing the work. It's just going to take a little bit longer and we want to get on market. So we're going to Photoshop that out or now AI it out, but we're going to disclose it. And that work is being done to actually make it look like the way that we're showing that it does.
And I feel like now that they're getting really strict with it, they probably started on this way before AI has done what it's done in the last year. But brilliant, because now you can change an entire property's image in seconds and it won't even look the same.
Yeah.
So it includes virtual staging, removing furniture, adding furniture, landscape, flooring. Like, why would you change the flooring and pretend that's what it is?
Yeah.
Paint color, removing utility poles, neighboring structures. That's a big one. Views. You just alter in an ocean view when it's an apartment building. And then any AI generated modifications.
Yeah.
But as far as normal photo editing, that's still allowed. I don't know. The whole concept just seems crazy to me that someone would be doing that anyways.
But it seems crazy, but there are people doing it, and I think the government has to paint a kind of a broad stroke with this law and saying, "Hey, like anything that's really going to fundamentally or materially change the appearance of the home, the property, whatever it is, like you can't do it, or if you do, you have to disclose it." And you and I are kind of in the same mindset where it's like disclose, disclose, disclose. Just be upfront, be honest, disclose everything. But not everyone's that way. And even across the board, within other aspects of real estate, there's always been that leaning towards disclosure. And I think the government is really focusing on that across the board and everything right now, especially as AI makes it so easy to really manipulate and change everything in our environment.
I know, it's sad, but necessary.
But necessary,
So basically,
absolutely.
you can't catfish your listings anymore.
Yeah.
I wonder. I'm going to talk to the different media companies that I use. I wonder how much this is impacting what they do, because, like, I'll do a virtual twilight if a twilight shoot doesn't fit into the schedule. Is that allowed? Or when there's an ocean view and you brighten up like things might be happening or altered on the back end, but without me even realizing it. So I would imagine that they are also up to date on all of this, on what's allowed and not allowed.
Well, yeah, the big ones you'll never even notice it. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's huge. I think there's going to be a new law as well for like Tinder and Bumble and things like that, where people can't.
Is that real or are
No,
you
I'm totally
joking?
kidding.
Oh, wait, what? You
Yeah.
cannot catfish your listings and you can still catfish yourself.
Yeah, you can still catfish yourself, but you can't catfish the general market, at least the real estate market.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And trust me, there's some power lines that I would have loved to edit out, but it never crossed my mind to
Yeah.
actually do it.
So on the more practical approach, how do you recommend the agents comply with these laws?
Know the laws and don't make any adjustments to things that aren't accurate.
And if you do,
If you do, what I'm seeing two different versions of it. One, you do the actual altered image followed by the true image and label them both, or just label the altered image that it's been altered. And with our agents on like their flyers and things like that, there's a couple that have been doing fixers and they're saying, here's what the home could look like. And I'm like, nice and bold.
yeah,
This
absolutely.
image is AI generated. Even though it's very obvious, you still need to put that text on there and make it very clear.
Yeah. And I know a lot of developers do that with like vacant land and when they're trying to sell it before they fully develop it and saying, hey, this rendering is what it will look like. But you do see the people. I mean, we get it all the time. It's like, oh, check out this, oceanfront listing. It's only $2 million. It's like, oh, no, because that's just the land.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that the
yeah.
picture of the rendering is what it could look like. It's very, very different.
Yeah. It needs to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And just disclose. So put it in, and it can't be in the private remarks. If you're talking MLS, it can't be in the private remarks. It needs to be disclosed to everyone, which means it needs to be in the listing description.
And this isn't a law, but I think it should just be a common practice, or what I would share with our agents is don't alter something out that can't actually be changed.
Yeah.
Don't add in a view that's not there. Don't remove something that cannot be removed. Be, as transparent as possible, especially when marketing a home.
Yep. Absolutely. Love it.
Okay, so topic number 2, fire insurance. This isn't necessarily one specific law that has changed. It's been an ongoing thing over the years, but it is now becoming more and more prominent. I don't know about what you're seeing, but for me, just in the actual real estate transaction, it's being treated not only in the high fire severity zones or high fire zones, which is most of Southern California, if we're being honest, not only for those homes, but just the actual obtaining insurance process has now become, from my experience, a contingency equivalent to your loan contingency, your appraisal contingency, your inspection contingency.
100%. And it's not just on the transactions, it's everything. Buying, it makes it a little bit more difficult because if you can't get it, the deal's dead. But even owning, whether it's your primary residence and keeping it insured and seeing your premium skyrocket, or even on the investment side, we're seeing a lot of investment real estate, whether it's multifamily or commercial, the premiums are skyrocketing or they're just straight denying whether it's fire insurance or just regular property casualty. It's crazy, and we're having to go
It
out
is
and
crazy.
shop around. But it's a different conversation because we're going shopping for these policies, and we're telling clients it's no longer a situation where we're getting the best value. Sometimes now we're just finding any insurer that's willing to write a policy, and sometimes we have no options.
Yeah. What I'm doing with listings now ahead of time is getting a fire insurance policy current to the date to that specific property prior to even showing it.
Yeah.
So we know if it's obtainable. We can in California there's fair plans, so it is to some extent, but we can say, hey, here is what an insurance policy for this property is going to look like for the new owner.
Well, and you're great at that stuff, but not everyone is, and they should be doing these things.
They should be doing that.
Another component to all of this is insurance now covers, I think, a lot less for a lot more money. And really reading your policy and knowing what it covers. It's no longer a situation where you just, bind the policy and don't worry about it. You really have to know what you're covered for and not covered for. And having an insurance broker or agent that really understands your risk profile, your portfolio, and how to provide you the right coverages and policies for that property or any others.
And I don't see the insurance or fire insurance, I don't see it getting any looser over the years. I only see it getting stricter.
Correct. Yeah.
They're kind of a newer thing is that wildfire mitigation discounts are required for insurance companies. And my community that I live in, they've been working to become like there's a whole fire safety committee to be a fire wise community. And I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it's a certain percentage of the homes within the community that qualify for A, B, and C or have done A, B, and C. And then overall, we would get a discount for our insurance once we get that official designation. So I do think we're going to start seeing a lot of things like that, incentives for people to actually do the defensible space or make sure that their home is as protected as it can be.
Yeah. One of the properties that we own, it's a hotel in Colorado. That's actually been one of the biggest hindrances in being able to sell the asset. The buyer policies now are literally like 4 times what we've been paying historically, but because it's a new or it would be a new owner, a new insurer, the rates have skyrocketed, and it's making it really difficult for it to make sense to buyers going forward.
The other big part of transactions is that defensible space disclosure and process. Earlier on, when all of that getting that AB 38, do you guys have that in Orange County, the AB 38 clearance?
No.
So in San Diego, and I'm sure there's different versions of it in different states that have high fire severity zones, you have to do the AB 38 clearance. The seller has to have that compliance when they're selling their home. When I walk with, it's either CAL FIRE or San Diego City, whoever is designated for that area, there was no actual recourse, is what the fire inspector said,
Mhm.
if the home is not in compliance
Interesting.
on their end. So I hope that has changed, or I hope that will change. I would imagine it will, but they are slowly putting all of that responsibility during the escrow process of having your home check whatever boxes they need checked.
Yeah. And something beyond the transaction as well that we've discussed is actually owning the property, but on an HOA, it's to a whole different level. You see some of the townhome or condo communities that are near high fire zones that they straight up just can't even get insurance. And the one of two things are happening. The insurance skyrockets and your HOA dues go from 400 to 800 from one month to the
Or you get
next.
slapped with a special assessment because they don't have the reserves to cover.
Mhm.
Is that what you were going to say?
Well, you get slapped with special assessment. All of a sudden, now your HOA dues double, triple, whatever it is. You get slapped with special assessment for that one-time catch up, or the HOA just turns around and says, "Hey, we're no longer insured for fire. Get your own policies or whatever it is." But it's a huge, huge issue. We see that in a lot of developments, especially as specifically in California, as it's getting built out further into away from the metros and into more of like the like farmland or mountains and things like that around San Diego, Orange County, LA. It's super high fire zones, and these new developments generally have higher HOA fees to begin with. And then they find out that their fire policy is going to triple their HOA fees, or they have no policy at all.
It's not good.
Yeah, and then if they have no HOA fire policy, then sometimes they can't even get their own homeowner's policy for condo policy. It's a domino effect.
Then you're having to sell to cash buyers and your property values go down. It's just not good.
Exactly.
And then we have Fair Plan, which California Fair Plan, because the state was required to provide some version of insurance to every single property. And there's been a lot of changes happening within Fair Plan. I'd love to have Cord on here to talk about it, but they've expanded. It used to just be California Fair Plan was covering those high fire severity properties that big box insurance company wasn't going to cover. So you'd have to go through Fair Plan. It was really expensive. They keep changing it. So now Fair Plan covers not just high fire severity. And so that broadens their scope, allows for more income on their end to reduce the cost of it for the high fire ones. They're adding in different things that can be insured, not just the fire insurance, but other things can be added to the policy. So in general, that California Fair Plan is getting better and better. It used to be like, you'd be like, dang, this can only go Fair Plan, and that was not good.
Yeah.
But I think the stigma is slowing, or the negative stigma is slowing on that.
Yeah.
We should have Cord on here to talk ins and outs of all of that.
Let's do it.
Cord is an insurance broker. So all of the insurance changes, and that is something that changes every year. If you're a real estate professional, you need to stay on top of all of it, because sometimes insurance can kill your deal.
Well, it's being that true advisor. If you're an agent, you're being that true advisor, consultant to your clients, letting them know what's going to happen at the transaction and then going forward and what their potential risks may be. And then if you're an investor, developer, whatever it is, you have to know that. If you are a real estate investor, and a lot of people buy condos first because they have a lower entry point, they could do so with a lot less money. And, they buy their condo, they do the math. If you've bought anything recently, you're barely having any cash flow, if at all. Sometimes you're lucky to break even, and then the HOA fees double. Now you're underwater, and there's nothing you could do about it.
No. I've only had one deal, and it wasn't even a deal. It was a client that was very, very interested in a property. They felt like it was priced really well, and we were trying to figure out what's going on with this property. Went to it. It was great. And then I looked around and realized we were on a hill with no other properties around us, and immediately shot in that request for an insurance quote. And I think the property was 1213, probably a 1718 house, but priced really low.
Mm-hmm.
And the insurance policy for fire insurance alone on that was going to be, I think the best number we got was $28,000 a year.
I believe it.
So in that price point, to add on $28,000 additional cost a year is significant.
Yeah. One of our clients bought I think it was like $11 million mansion in Malibu right after the Malibu fires. And it was a rental that we were managing. We were paying, I think, $120,000 a year in fire insurance.
Dang.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Who was explaining to me, I'll send it, but it was other states are also struggling with insurance across the board. But California, even though we feel like the fire insurance is totally crazy, it's not the worst possible scenario as far as natural disaster insurance that we could be dealing with, because there are preventative measures versus a hurricane or...
Well, there's a few other components there. Like, yeah, you have the hurricanes and things like that, but insurance prices go into the pricing of homes. So while California has had a massive appreciation in the value of real estate over the last, many decades, part of that is because insurance prices have been relatively low to the rest of the country. Now, while home values have continued to go up, now from one day to the next, your insurance goes from $2,000 a year to $10,000 a year. Home prices haven't adjusted accordingly, and it's kind of a multiple shock to the system, and it hurts.
Mm-hmm. I just paid my insurance.
What happened? Did it go up a lot?
I cried a little. No, we just pay it annually, and I always forget when it's coming up. And then my girl calls me and says, you have to, your insurance bill's in.
Yeah.
And then I say, no, but it does fluctuate.
Yeah.
Every year it's different, and it's annoying.
When you actually look at the policies too, there's another unique factor, and I kind of learned this the hard way. I was looking at the policy for my home. For background, we built our home from the ground up, so the insurance company was valuing it as if it were the original home that I tore down. And then I got a policy to cover the value of the new home as it was built, but the replacement cost was still of the old home. And when I realized that like a year or two in, I'm like, hey, I'm paying
So if your
for
house you burnt down, you could not rebuild it.
exactly, I'm paying for a policy at X amount, but they're actually only insuring half of X. And I'm like, what am I paying for? They're like, sorry, that's just what it is. And I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. So I had to shop around and find an insurance company that would actually insure it for the real amount and then have a replacement value for the real amount, not just some arbitrary number that the prior insurance company came up with.
Yeah, they don't pay attention to that part. They pay attention to the actual cost. But yeah, pay attention to what it's covering because when you need it,
Yeah, exactly.
you're going to want it.
Yeah.
Anything else on fire insurance?
Get a good broker and really understand what you're doing.
Get a good broker. I'm going to beg Cord to come on.
Cool.
He's all things insurance.
Perfect.
Okay. SB 79, transit oriented development. Planning and zoning, transit oriented development.
This has been a unique one that's kind of been in the works for a long time. Some cities have had their own version of this, but now ultimately the state of California is rolling it out through the entire state. And essentially, what it does is allows developers to build higher density around areas of public transit, whether it's a rail line, buses, or any other form of public transit. So now you have higher density allotments on the build. You have to have reduced, or you get reduced parking requirements, which anyone who's ever
Oh,
tried to build knows parking is generally your Achilles heel. It's the number one limiting factor. It's your bottleneck. You have to have a certain amount of parking for whatever you're building, and it's generally limits you on what you could do. So now that the parking requirements reduced, you're able to build higher buildings, higher density, and also, too, you're able to build residential where residential wasn't previously zoned. And the state is overriding local municipalities in those zoning laws for what was able to be built prior. So let's say a city says, this is only industrial, but it's within that sphere for the public transit. Now the state is saying it doesn't matter if it's within this distance. Now they could build residential, they could build higher, they could build more. It doesn't have to have enough parking. And the thought there is if you're near public transit, people shouldn't need cars, and you're able to build more. The reality is we know that really doesn't happen. But this is one of the state's ways of trying to address the affordability crisis and the housing need and allowing developers to do this. Now, will it actually work? I think, yes, it's going to allow developers to build more housing and housing where it previously wasn't. I don't know if it's going to be meaningful enough to make any dent in California, but at the end of the day, these developments are still astronomically expensive to build, and you need to either sell them or rent them for a super high number for it to make sense for any developers. And developers generally aren't dummies. They're not going to do things that is going to lose them money, or no one's going to fund it if they don't think it's going to work out at the end of the day.
well, and realistically, our public transportation is not equivalent to other states.
Oh, it's pretty bad.
I wasn't going to say that, but
Just being
I don't
honest.
know. I don't
I
want
mean,
to
when was the
offend the
last?
public transportation guy.
When was the last time you took a public bus or train or tram or anything?
With my 6-year-old for fun.
Oh, so you
So
have.
she could experience what a train was. Yeah.
Okay, cool,
I did used to have a job that I actually took the train to every day,
cool.
the coastliner, but very uncommon.
Yeah,
It's like a kitschy, fun thing to do. It's not necessarily everyone's daily routine.
yeah, absolutely.
We do have right outside of our office a huge bus transit center, and they did build. There's a whole Google campus going in, so I don't know if Google did it, but they did build right along the freeway, right next to that bus stop. Have you seen it yet?
May have driven by it. I don't know if I noticed
I
it.
mean, it was like a slope between the freeway and the Northrop Grumman building, and now all of a sudden there's like probably a 11-story building.
Oh wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So this officially goes into effect though in July.
Yeah, and across the board, the state's trying to make it easier to develop, to build. Now, how that actually plays out in real life, it's yet to be seen. Cities are still super difficult to build in, getting permits, so on and so forth. But they're trying to make it easier. It's never going to be easy per se. They're just trying to remove some of the red tape.
Okay, number 4, AB 14, security deposit modernization. That went into effect in January.
Yeah, so that one's been on the books for a long time, and there's been various different laws proposed. This one actually passed, and it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it just makes it a little bit easier for both the landlord and the tenant to figure out the security deposits. So now you could return security deposits electronically. If rents were being paid electronically or deposit was made electronically, there's a rule stating that you have to return electronically unless agreed upon otherwise. One of the big ones that I do like that actually has added a lot of clarity for the industry is if there's multiple adults in one home on the security deposit return, the security deposit needs to be made out to all of them. And in the past, that's been
Oh,
difficult because let's say you have a roommate situation. Joe lives with 5 of his buddies. Joe pays a security deposit. When you're returning it, who do we give it to? Do we give it to only Joe? Do we give it to everyone? Now the law requires, unless agreed upon otherwise in writing, that the refund be distributed to everyone equally. So that just makes it a lot easier and provides a lot more clarity there. But something that landlord and investors, property managers need to know. Otherwise, you could get in trouble. As with everything, the state of California, the federal government, the FTC really protects consumers. And if you go against these laws, there's a lot of penalties. And it's one of those things where
familiar.
it's almost guilty till proven innocent. So really knowing and understanding the laws also on the security deposit disposition form or the statement as to what was charged back against the security deposit, that could be both mailed, or mailed first class mail, or done electronically. It still has to be within the 21 days, but you now have both options. The electronic form is really helpful because of the other new law that requires photographic evidence of any chargeback item needs to be provided of the item before being in good shape, the item after being damaged, and then the item after being repaired. So now you're sometimes putting in, books worth of photos.
Here's your novel with your check.
Exactly, and you're sending it in
Yeah.
an envelope. Now you could send it electronically, which just makes it so much easier. And then also too, sometimes when people are moving, you have their last known address, which is generally where they're renting from you, and you don't know where they're going forward. You can now send it electronically because you do have their email. It just that makes it easier there.
So it really is a more modern version of security deposits. I'm surprised a lot of that wasn't part of it before.
Yeah, well, I think it takes the state a while to keep up with the time. So yeah, it took a while for
Discover
them.
electronic payment.
Yeah, or an email, for instance.
Yeah, or an email.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I have our last one, and this impacts, again, property management. Went into effect in January. AB 628, habitability appliance requirements.
Yeah, so this one's an interesting one. The big issue primarily here is the requirement to provide a refrigerator to all rental units. The other
That's been the
aspect
biggest
is,
change,
yeah,
right?
cooking, which is generally a range. Hardly ever have we ever come across a rental property that does not come with a stove or a range, but it's far uncommon for them to come with a refrigerator. That used to be kind of a marketing point. It's like, hey, this comes with a fridge. You don't need to bring
Yeah.
your own. But now, legally in the state of California, you have to provide a refrigerator with any rental unit. There's still some nuances in regards to the size of the fridge.
Yeah, can it be a mini
Yeah,
fridge?
I've seen people posting online. It's like, oh, well, what if it's a mini fridge? It has to be commensurate with the unit. If you have a 5 bedroom house and you're providing a mini fridge, not a chance. If you're doing, a studio, 200 square foot studio, and you provide a mini fridge, yeah, you could probably get away with it being commensurate, and probably that may be all that fits anyway. But it has to be commensurate with the actual home that those residents are renting. then you have to keep it up as well. So if it breaks, whether it's the range or the fridge, it's the responsibility of the landlord to fix it and be financially responsible for it, unless it's found that the issues or the damage is caused by the negligence or misuse of the tenant. And generally, proving that can be hard. If the condenser breaks, the landlord's paying for it. If you show up and the doors ripped off the refrigerator, then yeah, your tenant probably did that. That's
Or a big
uncommon,
old
but
dent in it.
yeah, a big old
Washer,
debt.
dryer is still personal
Washer
items.
dryer is still personal. Yeah, that's optional. That's not a requirement.
Okay. How are you dealing? So you have a large property management portfolio. Are you notifying everyone that doesn't have a fridge in it? That when
We've
this tenant moves out, we're going to have to put a refrigerator in there?
So AllView tries to be very proactive, and we notify clients as laws come up, and we let them know, hey, this is the law, this is what it means, this is what we're doing for you, this is how it changes things. So all of our clients have been notified, and yes, if there's a turnover, then at that point we tell the client, hey, we need to put a refrigerator in here. Or if the tenant lives there already and their fridge breaks, the tenants can request that we replace their fridge with a fridge owned by the landlord of the property. And we have to do it. There's no way around it. Now, mind you, it doesn't need to be like a sub-zero high end fridge. It could just be a normal standard fridge. It just has to be commensurate with the size of the property and what.
You're going to be dealing with tenants that are going to want to, in certain properties, going to want to bring in their own refrigerator if the one there is not up to par.
Mhm.
You're going to be dealing with all sorts of things probably with this.
Yeah, it creates some complexities. But generally, for instance, if we're renting out a $10,000 a month home, we're not going to put a $700 white basic fridge in there. There's going to be a nice
You
fridge.
wouldn't, but some owners
Some owners may
will
push, but
want to.
we're gonna push back, and we're gonna say, hey, someone's paying a lot of money to be here. You need to have a fridge that makes sense for the space. And
Yeah,
most people are very reasonable. We're not saying people intentionally try to hurt the performance of their own assets by putting in
yeah,
a fridge is just completely ridiculous.
yeah. And to me, it sounds not revolutionary that a tenant would get a fridge with the property that they're renting, but it is very common, or has been pretty common, for there to not be appliances in the home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this doesn't seem too crazy to me. This makes sense.
Yeah. It's just a little frustrating because it just adds another layer of variability to the income stream from a rental property. Because any given time you could be, hit with a $700 to $2,500 bill for a new fridge.
I mean, that was five laws
Mhm.
that are
Oh,
impacting
and
us.
then the big other thing too is just on the operations side for rental. If that fridge goes down, as with everything else, you have 48 hours to fix it. And if it's
I was
not
going to
fixed
say
in
it's like the
48
heater,
hours,
yep,
yeah, if it's not fixed in 48 hours, the home is technically not habitable. So it makes that is a higher level of complexity because if a condenser goes out, it's very unlikely that you're replacing it in 48 hours. There's multiple parts that people just need to order. They don't have, they may not have immediately, or just getting someone there immediately is sometimes difficult depending on the fridge. So that becomes a whole different level of inhabitability. Now, I'll go off on a tangent here for the owners and investors who want to buy a home warranty, thinking that they're going to buy the home warranty for the year. It's going to cover their fridge, it's going to cover their HVAC, whatever it is, and they're going to be good because when it breaks, they have the home warranty. Like, you are so mistaken, you're so wrong. That home warranty, tenant's going to call you and say, hey, my fridge broke. You're going to say, no problem, I have a home warranty. They're going to fix it. You're going to call the home warranty. Yeah, they're going to say, okay, got it. We'll dispatch a vendor out there to take a look. The vendor is going to call you in 3 or 4 days. They're going to schedule something a week later. They're going to show up. They need to provide a report to the home warranty company saying, this is what's wrong with it. And then from there, the home warranty company will either cover it or not. If they cover it, then it goes back to the vendor and saying, okay, this is approved. you can fix it, and then they're going to show up another week or two later to fix it.
I was going to say, this is weeks.
Yeah, and everyone thinks that we're exaggerating this ridiculous. 95% of the time, this is exactly how it happens. Home warranties, as with any other insurance company, they make money when they don't pay out on policies, and they make it so difficult to actually get your items covered that more often than not, you just give up and you move on. You just pay for it yourself because you can't live without a fridge for 3 weeks. We see it with fridges, with water heaters, with furnaces, air conditioners. We see it with everything. Unless it's something that you don't actually need, your home warranty is hardly ever going to act quickly enough for it to be used. And also, too, if you live in the home and you're saying, okay, I'm going to go without my heater or without my water heater for a few days while they maybe fix it, that's your prerogative. But if you have a tenant in there, then the home all of a sudden becomes uninhabitable and you have a whole different legal complexity that you have to deal with. So home warranties, complete waste of money. Don't do it.
That's your personal opinion.
Personal opinion, yeah. And you talk to a lot of people in the industry, the same thing. Because you're going to say, okay, you're paying whatever, $800 for a home warranty. You're going to have a deductible. So let's say you need to replace the fridge. You're going to have a deductible of a few $100, and then takes a week or two to fix. Every single day after 48 hours that that fridge is not running, you can't charge rent. So that's hundreds of dollars a day adding up in rent that you can't charge.
Are there refrigerator rental companies?
There are, absolutely, yeah.
They're probably going to start seeing a little uptick.
Yeah, and that's going to get super expensive because the rental isn't the expensive part. It's the delivery and removal that's super expensive.
So in theory, with these 5 that we discussed, you cannot edit out a power line or edit in an ocean view on your properties.
You can't make a property in Nebraska an oceanfront property.
Yeah, you can't. Exactly. You can, but you have to say this is fake.
Yeah, exactly. And if you do really edit anything, you got to disclose it.
Yes. You need to pay attention to your fire insurance, especially when you're selling or if you're living in a condo complex. Know your policy. California now allows emails and electronic payment with security deposits, which seems like that should be 2010.
Yes.
You need to get fridges if you don't have a refrigerator and you're a property owner that's renting out your property. And there's going to be buildings by trains and bus stations.
A lot more of them.
In theory, a lot more of them. Yeah. Tall ones.
A lot of density.
No parking. A lot of density.
The other component of that, too, is they've made something similar with ADUs. If an ADU is nearby any public transit, you don't need to provide parking for that ADU, which pissed a lot of cities off. But it's allowing a lot of homeowners to build ADUs on their properties.
Yeah. I would be bummed if I lived by a bus transit center and now there's a big building that goes up because that's going to impact the parking for everyone.
Absolutely.
Because they're still going to have cars. Okay, I feel like we just scratched the surface.
We really did, but these are 5 really important ones to know.
Yeah. I need Cord to talk about insurance more. I'm going to start begging him.
Perfect.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention? I feel like your life is all laws and new laws and staying on top of them.
Yeah, as the broker, I think I have to. But it's difficult. We pay for a lot of subscriptions to different associations and law firms that just update us as different laws come out. And generally, I get them on Friday afternoons, which generally ruins my weekend.
I was going to say, what a day to end the week.
Yeah. But I get them and it's like, okay, let's see what's going on. And it breaks it down by every city in the state. It breaks it down by counties. It never ends. It's like California. It's more and more difficult to be a homeowner, landlord, investor, developer, property manager, builder, whatever it is. It's more and more and more difficult.
Keep me updated. Let me know what you're reading in your little emails.
On large multifamily owners, something that we do recommend is if you have an extra garage or storage, throw a refrigerator in there. If one goes out for a property, you could quickly swap it out and don't have to worry about that inhabitability issue.
If you're listening, can you like and subscribe and do all of the things?
Comment, tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah, unless it's still just our moms. We'll find out. Okay, so next we'll talk insurance. We'll make that happen.
Yeah, and ADUs is one of the upcoming.
And ADUs. Oh, that's right. And good luck with your office organization. I hope you get your life together over there.
Yeah, well, you come over, visit, and help.
After. I'll see you in 2 months.
Perfect.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap on this episode of AllView 360, all things real estate. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone navigating their own real estate journey. Connect with us anytime on Instagram at AllView 360 and on LinkedIn at AllView Real Estate. Until next time, stay curious and keep your perspective 360.